You look at the word encouragement. The word encouragement actually is a Latin word with also French origins. And the prefix "en" means to put into something. And then "cur" comes after it. It actually means heart. So to encourage actually means to get down deeper than the surface and to actually put something into someone's heart. Now the question is, for the adults, the parents, the grandparents, the teachers, the counselors, how do we get in touch with this person's heart? First and foremost, it's not going to come from a speech. It's going to come from actually getting to know these people. Allah Ta'ala, He tells us in the Quran, Surah Al-Asr, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَاتَّوَصَّوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَاتَّوَصَّوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And Allah, He's telling us that indeed, Allah swears by time, that indeed every one of mankind is in a state of loss, complete and utter bankruptcy. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, except those who believe, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and those who do righteous deeds. And then He goes on to tell us those who encourage things, encourage the positivity, and encourage the truth, encourage the patience. These are the things that in which to do, you must actually spend time with a person. You can't just give them a CD and tell them this is encouragement. Because what they're not going to get from that, they're not going to get a connection to you. So inshallah, if we want to encourage our youth to greatness, we must first show them greatness. Then we must show them love.
And this is what she says, page 20 of her book. An extraordinary percentage of black men in the U.S. have been legally barred from voting today, just as they have been throughout most of American history. They are subject to legalized discrimination in employment, housing, education, public benefits, and jury service, just as their parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents. Which takes us back to Jim Crow and slavery. So we're really not as free as we think we are. And the system is insidious and diabolical. Because to make a person think he's free, and he's truly not free, is worse than manacling that person and putting them in chains. The quote that Imam Khalil made, I freed 1,000 slaves, now would have freed 1,000 more if they knew they were slaves. Wow. We all in the cage. And we have to realize what type of cage we're in.
The Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked this question about who is the most honorable, he said, amongst the people, he said, the most righteous amongst them. They said, we didn't ask about this. Then look what he said. He said, Yusuf, the son of Allah's prophet, the son of Allah's prophet. This is lineage, showing good family line. What makes a good family line? Marriage. What are we lacking in our community? Marriage. Marriages that stay together. So we don't have lineage. We have some households where children have different names because they're even in Muslim houses. There's Muhammad, there's Abdullah, this is not what's being fostered by us. And so, lineage. They said, we didn't ask about this. What they wanted to know was about the Arabs. And the Prophet ﷺ responded in the same way. The best of you in Jahiliyyah will be the best in Islam, provided that they comprehend religious knowledge.
Now, as we stand right now, our youth are being marginalized. You heard one of the previous speakers talk about how they're being mass incarcerated and whatnot. And we have to change the whole dynamics. Another speaker talked about the importance of establishing our own, educational systems. But up until that point that we do that, we can set up our own programs where we can foster that kind of development. We can create our own forums for acquainting our children with these various disciplines. And we have, for example, a program called Blasting. In other words, they think they're going to mass incarcerate our children, but we're going to blast them by setting up, it's an acronym that stands for business, law, architecture, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine. That's where we need to focus our children in. And inshallah, we have speakers in all those various disciplines come and share with our children what they do. We take the children to their places of work and show them what they do. We tutor them and try to encourage them to pursue these particular areas. We set up tutoring programs so that they can become proficient in these various subjects. We tell them about SAT scores, how to do test taking, and so forth, so that they can then begin to pursue those areas. And at the same time, they're looking at people that look like them who have actually been there and done that.
Who was the Sahaba that was the teacher in Kufa? He was one of Imam Amin's students, should know this. Imam Amin. Now you got me at the last event we did, so I'm getting you back. In Kufa, Abdullahi ibn Mas'ud, radiallahu anhu, he was the teacher in Kufa. And those Sahaba, they used to have thousands of people in their circles of knowledge. And from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud teaching his student, taught his student, they produced Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah. And from that, the Hanafi school developed. Well, Imam Ali was a scholar, no doubt. He was an alim. He was a soldier. He was a warrior. But he was a leader. And he didn't have to do the day-to-day, the teaching and all of these things that sometimes people expect from the leaders. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud took care of producing ulama. Ali, he was capable of doing that, but he was a leader. And sometimes the leader has to really lead. And when the leader is capable of leading in a full capacity, when he has everything at his disposal, then the people will come. So when the leadership is not about the people coming because they're going to come, but it's about effective leadership. And that's for us to fill a gap, us as leaders, and I'm challenging all of the leaders to produce more leaders.
But one thing I want to highlight on, and this is something that you do see as a problem within our community, I think we fall into a state of disparage too much. Every event that goes on, we cry. We're ashamed of who we are. We're ashamed of our legacy. There's nothing to be ashamed of to say that, hey, my descendants were brought here captive. You're only feeling embarrassed about it because you're next to people who have a long legacy. Yes, we've been cut off from our lineage, our heritage. But anyway, Allah Ta'ala has returned Islam back to us. And we'll find that tranquility in Islam. Well, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, He says in the Quran, أَلَا إِنَّ الْأَوْلِيَاءَ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَهُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala speaks about His protected friends, His awliya. And I want to erase the idea out of people's mind that this is something that is far-fetched. From the point that you become a person of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, you enter into that realm of Allah's protected friendship. And your friendship becomes stronger when you uphold and learn your obligation and practice your obligations. And your relationship get even better where you become intimate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where you take your free time and dedicate it to your nawafil actions. And when you read the biographies of many of our ancestors, that's what they did with their spare time, even on the plantation.
طلع البدر علينا